Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This week I've got 5 tips for you when you go live on Instagram. So stay tuned because also at the very end, I'm gonna go live and show you what I see when I go live. Now, why might you be asking, am I doing this? Well, I've been going live for about once a week for the last 4 months. And a couple things to note about this video. 1, Instagram does vertical video. That's why we're doing this video vertically. 2, I'm gonna try to do this in one take because when you go live, you only get one chance, okay? So bear with me if I make a mistake. We'll try to roll with it and keep going. But 3, the last important point is I've learned a lot over the last 4 months and I thought it would help everyone out if I showed you what I've learned so that way we can help make Instagram lives better for everyone. And it's kind of funny, Instagram lives, like it's a pun, like your life on it. Never mind. Okay, bad joke. Maybe, we're not gonna cut it because like I said, we're trying to do this in one take. So 5 tips. First tip, be prepared. If you want to be successful, you've got to be prepared. Prepared. How do you do that? Make sure when you're going live that you set a date and time in mind to do this. Now, I'm going to take the framework that I've been doing lives in, which is I go live with somebody else. And I think those are the best lives because it's a little bit more engaging than just somebody talking directly to a camera. So make sure you get your guests lined up and scheduled, get a date and time scheduled, and that way you're prepared for that, okay? Then you want to make sure you promote that, which is point number 2, is make sure you promote it. So if you're promoting your post, then that means more people are going to see it, especially if you don't have a huge follower account or your guest doesn't have a huge follower account. If you promote it, more people will get to know, get a heads up that you're going live and be ready to watch it versus just happening to get whoever's on Instagram during that time. Now, of course, Instagram sends out a notification, but you know, obviously not everybody's got their phones nearby or they might be in the middle of a meeting. And so if you can schedule it, then people might carve out time in their day to actually watch your live, especially if you've got a great guest or you're talking about something really important on your segment. So tip number 2 is make sure you promote it. Tip number 1 was getting prepared. A couple other things I forgot to mention on that one. Make sure your phone is charged, okay? That's a huge one. Make sure you got a secondary device. So I've got an iPad always on standby in case I need to switch from one device to the other. I will tell you there have been times when I've gone live, tried to go live on my iPhone and it just spins and it never goes live. So it's not gonna work. I've tried killing the app, tried restarting my phone, and it just doesn't work. So that's why you can go live from an iPad. You can have the Instagram app on your iPad. So that's why I recommend having at least 2 devices around so that we've got something else to punt to, okay? Make sure they're charged, make sure you get a second device, and my last point for getting prepared is test your Wi-Fi connection. So you can do that really easily. I've got my iPad here. I'm just gonna open up the Safari browser and just go to fast.com, fast.com. When you go there, it starts to load your speed. So you can see that there. I'm loading my internet speed and in a second it'll be done. Boom, 160 megabits per second. If I say show more info, hit that button, it'll actually test my upload speed because that was just my download speed. So if I test my upload speed, I can see I'm right now about 20 megabits per second. It's dropping down to 17 as I speak. And it's at 16, which, hey, that's okay. It'll still work. These are great speeds. If you're seeing something up here that says kbps instead of mbps, so megabits per second versus kilobytes per second, kilobytes per second is super slow. It's not gonna work. I have had one live fail because the internet connection was just so bad. So make sure that you check your internet connection. A simple way to do that is through fast.com. Okay, so make sure you're prepared, make sure you promote your post, make sure you got that promotion happening. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 was checking Wi-Fi. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm so excited to talk about Wi-Fi, so make sure you do that. I have gotten questions too, like, hey, can I just go live outside? Sure, you can do that. There are a lot of challenges when you do that. So first of all, you're relying on your cellular internet connection on your phone, so LTE, which of course, if you're like me, you've had those times where all of a sudden you'll just drop a call or you'll drop data. It's 2020, but we're still having these issues. I don't know why it happens, but the moral of the story is, in order to be prepared, in order to make sure you've got a great live, I highly recommend doing it inside with good Wi-Fi so that way you can give your viewers the best experience as possible. The next tip number 4, is probably one of my favorite tips. I like to call it get your gear, okay? So the first piece of gear that I'm gonna talk about, you might have heard me talk about this before, it's called gaff tape. So this is gaff tape. It is my favorite kind of tape. Why do you ask is my favorite kind of tape? you can literally stick it to anything and pull it off, and it doesn't really leave any residue. Now, mind you, there are some use cases where it does leave residue, so don't go sticking it everywhere. But for the most part, on any kind of equipment, you can stick it and it won't leave any residue, which is great. So I've got my notes here, because again, I'm prepared. So I've got my notes, and I'm gonna stick them here on my GorillaPod. So here's another piece of equipment. And by the way, in the show notes, there's my podcasting days coming out. In the description below, I'll put a link to all this equipment. So I've got a GorillaPod here, and then I've got this attached to a phone holder, so it's actually holding my iPhone up for me. This is again nice because you're giving everybody a nice stable shot of you, and that way you're not also like holding it and your hands getting tired because you're talking forever, just like how I'm doing right now. So sticking back to equipment, GorillaPod, check. Phone holder, check. Gaff tape, check. And you might be saying, why, Tom, should I use gaff tape? Well, let me show you why. When you go live on Instagram, if you accidentally double tap the screen in the wrong place, then it will activate your back camera. And if the camera kind of follows me around right now, you'll see my setup here. And I don't really want everybody else to see the setup here. I've got a really well lit space. I've got a chandelier with lots of lights. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this piece of gaff tape, I'm gonna take my phone out there, and I'm gonna stick this over the cameras on the back of my phone. So that way, if I accidentally flip it around during the live, all they see is black, and what the viewer thinks is, oh, I probably got a phone call, which that's something else we'll talk about in a second. So I've got my phone, I've got it taped up on the back, which is great. And I'm gonna snap it right back in here. It's good to go. Fantastic. So I've got my GorillaPod disc. You might be asking, what's this other stuff? I love playing games, so these are great ways to stack things on. But the other thing that I've got here are these sound baffles. And these sound baffles, there's two goals for this. One is the audio coming back from my phone goes down into this one, so it kind of absorbs it so you don't hear as much of an echo. And then the other one I've got facing in the back here catches my sound and makes sure it stops so that way it doesn't echo in this space that I'm filming in right now. So these are super nice to have. They're not a must-have, but like I said, I like to deliver as high quality results as possible. So that's why I do this. My last little pro tip that I'll show you is this huge light source that's coming my way. So my camera operator is going to show you this really quick. This is a Manfrotto light. You can see it right here. It's the Lycos bicolor, and it's got a little display on the back, so I can change the color temperature of the light really easily just by rolling it. So here's some blue light for you, and here's some more warm light. This warm light, of course, matches the chandelier light that I've got going on here. And you'll notice I've got it really low, 19%. Isn't that bright? It can definitely get a whole lot brighter. And I've got it set off to the side, and the reason I have that is so that way, again, I'm just more well lit. When, pro tip for your phones, anytime you're using your phones, our phones love light. So anytime you can give them more light, you'll definitely want to make sure you can do that. So that's why I've got this light here, I've got this light here. So hopefully I get a nice even look across my face when I go live. All right, I promised you at the beginning that I would go live during this. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm gonna have you come around here. I've got my iPhone already set up. I'm in my Instagram account. And so when I'm in my Instagram account, I'm gonna tap on this little camera up here and I get three options. So I've got story, reels, and live. So I'm gonna tap on live and you got a couple options even before you begin to go live. So the first one here is this title. So I can add a quick title that says Tom is testing, okay? And then when I hit add title and I hit live, it will actually send that out to everybody. So let's go live. All you gotta do to go live is you gotta click this button here, getting notifications on my phone, which is something you deal with when you're live on Instagram, like I am right now. So I'm live on Instagram. I can tell that I'm live because I've got the little button up there, the little box that says I'm live. You'll notice my little camera rotation icon. So again, I mentioned I've done that. I've just got a notification too on my other accounts that Tom is testing and gone live. So that's what my viewers are seeing by adding that title. So if I flip my screen back around, I can see that, but it's nice because like I said, anybody who's watching, they will, they'll just see the black screen. So that's good. The other thing you can do is a comment. So I can say, hey, everyone, I'm chatting, whoop, not changing. I'm chatting with Tom today. Okay, so I'm gonna post that as a comment, and then if I press and hold this, I should get a option to pin the comment. I like to do this because that way anybody who joins the live they can see my pinned comment there. So you can see that I've pinned that down there. If I wanted to get rid of it, I can just, press and hold it and unpin the comment as well. But like I said, it's really beneficial for anybody joining, so that way they're like, you're not in the middle and you have to keep reminding everybody, say, oh, I'm talking with Tom today on my live, et cetera, et cetera. So highly recommend pinned comments. And the pro tip that I'll give you is sometimes when you press and hold, that's how you can trigger the back camera view and end up flipping the camera around. So that's why I shared that other comment about that. So questions, you can take questions from your viewers. Typically what I like to do is I like to tell everybody, hey, thanks so much for tuning in. If you got a question, you can leave it in the comment box below, or you can use the question box. It's nice when they use the question box because your questions will show up here. You can tap on those and they'll show up on the screen in a nice Q&A format. I'll show an example in the video here in just a second on how that works. If I want to send this to somebody, I can do that easily just by sharing it using the share icon, the little paper airplane. If I want to go live with somebody else, this is again how I typically do it, is you'll have people join your stream here, and then you'll tap on this face and you'll see them listed, and there's a button to check their name next to it, and you'll say go live with this person. It'll then reach out to them, they'll have to acknowledge it on their side, and then you can join them in live. So then it goes to a split screen, so then I appear up here and they appear on the bottom. Important for you to note, that's always how it works. Whoever initiates the live and then joins goes on the bottom. So if you want your guest to be on top, you need to have them start it and then you'll join at the bottom. So, but it's just kind of how Instagram works. The other catch too is it's good to let your guests know, like, there will be comments that are appearing over their faces and stuff. People can turn that off as well, so that way they can kind of see an uninterrupted view. The other catch with that is when you go live, at the end you have an option to share with IGTV. So we'll talk about tip number 5, what happens at the end of this, in just a second. So again, going live with somebody, it's a great option on Instagram. You just do it with the double face icon. You can add effects, which are fun because you can have like a little disco party if you want. But really, you're probably not going to be using effects in your lives because it's 2020. The other catch too is you can share a photo. So for example, this last little box here is how you share photos. The other catch is you need to know your most recent photos will show up in there. So if I take a photo right now and let that go away, if I want to share a photo, it's the one that's right here. So I can tap that, and now it's actually a little bit confusing because I'm showing the freeze frame of it, but I'll pull up this one. Here's some water droplets that I took from my car, and because I love the shot, and I'm showing it, and I appear in a little box. Now, when you're going live with somebody else, what happens is this gets cut in half, and so you're even seeing less of the photo. So just be mindful when you're sharing photos, you can't really see as much. In order to stop sharing, you need to tap that and then hit this little international no symbol, that's what that's called, in order to get rid of it. So that is really everything you'll see on the screen. The last thing you'll see on the screen is probably the most important thing, which is what happens at the end of your live. So when you're signing off and you're saying, thanks so much for tuning in, there's an end button here, and I'm gonna tap on that and it will say, are you sure? Now, right now, you can see in the background, I'm still live. Like, this video is still happening. So be mindful that if you accidentally hit it, you're not off the airways. There's no way to mute yourself. You're just always live until you hit this end now button. And now I've actually ended my video, even though I can see myself in the background here. So I'll take a screenshot of that so we can see it later. You'll see I've got an option to download the video, delete the video, or share to IGTV. So if I download this video, it will save it to my camera roll on my phone. If I share this video, it'll give me an option to create a cover. So this is a great point where if you've already thought ahead, you were prepared and you had a cover, you can actually add one from your camera roll. Otherwise, you can select from an image in your live. So we'll just select that one there. Well, it automatically, because I added the title at the beginning, it added it here for me. Otherwise, I have to type in a new title. I can add a description, and then I can add it to a series if I want to. If you're doing lots of lives, that's a great way to do that. You can create your first series on IGTV. And then the last thing you'll notice here is it says post a preview. So you can post a preview to help people get them excited and watch the IGTV video just by toggling this on. Now, mind you, so toggling it off doesn't show it, toggling it on does show it, and that goes to that. So you'll notice up here in a second, it's posting my video, and then it will show up there. So again, I downloaded it. Now, the other catch is what happens when you download it. There, you can actually see it now, I guess. Sorry. Here, I'll just take this out of this. Oh, look. It's Tomception. So, too many Toms. Okay, so I'm gonna mute this. All right, so I've got that on here, and the other thing I was gonna mention, I've already forgotten. So, okay, so that's how you go live. That's how you save it at the end, which is super important. And then the last tip, like I said, so you've gotta make sure you save it out. If your live is a very long live, so typically my lives would go 30 minutes, it won't allow you to save them to the phone because they're too long. So it won't be able to store all that data on your phone and like cache it basically before it saves it. So you'll just have to go grab them from IGTV through like a screen recording or something like that. So, but the last tip that I have for you, tip number 5, is keeping it engaging. And there's a ton of ways to do that. When you have somebody join a live, say hello to them when they join, okay? Obviously you don't want to stop, keep interrupting. You can wave to your guests. So when you join, there's an option, there'll be a little hand that says wave. You can tap on that and send them a wave, and that helps them feel engaged in the live that you're doing. So a lot of ways to interact with your guests. Like I said, the questions, you can wave back to them, you can ask for hearts, you can say hi to them. Another great question is always, where are you watching from? Any way that you can get viewers to comment back or engage with the app, that will help your viewership over time and make sure that you keep people engaged in the live. One last pro tip that I'll give, this is a bonus tip that I'll give you, is make sure you repeat yourself a little while. After like 5 minutes of going live, if you're still talking, there's new people that have joined the live. Tell them what you're doing, even though it might be pinned. Encourage them to engage in some other way, leaving a comment, etc. Again, make sure you call out comments at that time. Like if you're taking a break at 5 minutes and just saying, "Hey, it's Tom again. Thanks so much for tuning in. I saw, shout out to Tom Tested for, doing this thing or commenting that one thing." So make sure you're engaging with your guests because they'll obviously engage back with you if you're engaging. So, wow, that was a lot. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for going live with me. I'll post in some pictures. There will be links below, like I said, to the equipment that I'm using. If you've got leave me a comment. Leave me a comment if you have any other questions. If you have a tip that I didn't share, leave it in the comments below. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more tips like this that you can watch and engage and learn something new. Because I love learning something new. Hopefully you do too. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye.